Tonight, the world holds its breath, collectively bracing for what tomorrow may bring. The weight of uncertainty hangs heavy in the air. The Middle East is on a knife's edge, a region historically fraught with conflict, now teetering precariously close to the brink once more. With Iran and Israel closer to open conflict than ever before, decades of simmering tensions threaten to boil over into a full-blown regional war. The rhetoric has escalated, and the military posturing is undeniable. At the heart of this crisis, looming large and casting a long shadow, is the American-made GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, the bunker buster, a name that evokes both awe and dread. This isn't just another bomb, it's not simply an addition to the already vast arsenals of modern warfare. It's a weapon specifically designed to obliterate targets with extreme precision and devastating force. Targets buried deep underground, shielded by layers of concrete and steel, far beyond the reach of conventional munitions, rendering traditional defenses obsolete. Its presence in the region changes every calculation, forcing a reassessment of military strategies and geopolitical alliances, making the unthinkable suddenly possible, blurring the lines between deterrence and outright aggression. For Israel, it's a potential answer to an existential threat, a trump card in a high-stakes game of survival. For Iran, it's the ultimate provocation, a red line that cannot be crossed without severe consequences. The stakes are immense, with the potential for widespread devastation and long-lasting repercussions. And the margin for error is gone, leaving no room for miscalculation or unintended consequences. The world is watching, holding its breath as the drama unfolds. Because a single decision could ignite a regional war with global consequences, drawing in major powers and destabilizing the entire global order. The language of diplomacy is being drowned out, its voice fading amidst the rising tide of military saber-rattling. By the drumbeat of war, a relentless rhythm that threatens to drown out all reason and restraint. The bunker buster is more than technology, it's a symbol. It's the focal point of this entire crisis, a tangible representation of the immense power at stake. It embodies the fears, the anxieties, and the deep-seated insecurities that plague the region. And the ambitions driving this standoff, the competing interests and the unwavering determination to prevail. To understand this weapon is to understand the perilous moment we face, the delicate balance between peace and war that hangs precariously in the balance. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator is the most powerful non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal. Weighing 30,000 pounds, it's the size of a small bus, and carried only by advanced stealth bombers like the B-2 Spirit. Its purpose, to penetrate and destroy deeply buried, hardened targets. Dropped from high altitude, its hardened steel casing smashes through rock and concrete before detonating. It can reportedly penetrate up to 200 feet of earth, or 60 feet of concrete. This bomb was built to destroy underground fortresses once thought invulnerable. It gives militaries the power to eliminate an adversary's most protected assets, without nuclear weapons. The psychological impact is huge. No bunker is safe. This is the technology at the heart of today's tension. To grasp the full implications of why this bomb, the GBU-57, truly matters, we need to delve into the complex and volatile relationship between Iran and Israel. We must understand the decades-long Iran-Israel conflict, a rivalry fueled by deep-seated mistrust and conflicting ideologies. This isn't just a regional dispute, it's a power struggle with global consequences. For Israel, Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program represents an existential threat, a direct challenge to its security and survival. Iran, on the other hand, consistently claims its nuclear program is solely for peaceful purposes, such as energy production and medical research. But Israel remains deeply skeptical, pointing to Tehran's aggressive rhetoric, its history of deception, and its continued development of ballistic missile technology. Israel sees danger in Tehran's rhetoric, and support for various hostile groups and proxy forces throughout the Middle East further fuels Israeli anxieties. Iran, in turn, views Israel as an aggressor, a foreign entity in the region. Backed by the unwavering support of the U.S., Iran sees Israel as a threat to its sovereignty and regional ambitions. Both sides have steadily escalated their actions, engaging in a shadow war that threatens to erupt into a full-blown conflict. Israel has employed tactics such as sabotage, cyber attacks, and alleged assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists. Iran has responded with increased uranium enrichment, pushing closer to weapons-grade material, and supporting proxy militias that target Israeli interests. Iran's crucial nuclear sites, like the Fordow fuel enrichment plant, are buried deep within mountains, heavily fortified and once thought to be virtually untouchable by conventional weapons. For a long time, Israel simply lacked the military means to effectively destroy these deeply buried facilities. This created a tense and dangerous stalemate, with both sides locked in a precarious balance of power. But the introduction of the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator changes that equation dramatically, shattering the existing balance of power in the region, and forcing both sides to urgently rethink their long-held strategies and military calculations. The covert war, simmering for years, is now on the verge of breaking into the open, with potentially catastrophic consequences. The bunker buster is the ultimate game-changer in this incredibly dangerous equation, a weapon that could trigger a new and devastating chapter in the Middle East. The GBU-57 isn't just another weapon. It's a game-changer for the Iran-Israel standoff. It solves Israel's biggest military puzzle: how to strike Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites. Suddenly, Iran's underground bunkers are vulnerable. This erases Iran's geographical advantage and forces Tehran to reconsider its security. The US decision to use or supply this bomb is a pivotal foreign policy choice. Providing it could empower Israel to act alone, risking a wider war. Withholding it could embolden Iran. The bomb's mere existence is a powerful lever in psychological warfare. It transforms a long-term rivalry into an urgent, high-stakes crisis. The possibility of preemptive action is now frighteningly real. The bunker buster forces both Iran and Israel to recalculate. For Israel, it makes a decisive strike on Iran's nuclear program possible. The debate shifts from can we to should we, knowing a massive war could follow. For Iran, the threat could push them to negotiate or to accelerate their nuclear ambitions. This creates a dangerous race against time, with both sides feeling pressured to act first. Iran may lean more on its proxies, threatening a wider regional conflict if attacked. The bunker buster solves a tactical problem but risks unleashing a strategic nightmare. A targeted strike could spiral into a regional war. This isn't just a regional dispute. The world is watching with dread. The Strait of Hormuz, vital for global oil, could be closed in a conflict, spiking prices and triggering economic chaos. A war would ripple across the globe, causing inflation, supply chain shocks, and recession. Humanitarian disaster would follow: cities hit, civilians killed, millions displaced. The region's instability could empower extremist groups and destabilize Europe and beyond. The risk of great power involvement, US, Russia, China, could turn a regional war into a global crisis. Every diplomatic channel is being worked to prevent catastrophe. The stakes are nothing less than global security. Tonight we stand at the edge, a precarious point where the slightest push could send everything spiraling downward. The choices made in the coming days will determine whether we step back from the brink or tumble into the abyss of a precipice. The stakes are incredibly high and the margin for error is virtually non-existent. The best hope, and perhaps the only viable one, is a swift return to diplomacy. A renewed commitment to dialogue is essential, with Iran making meaningful concessions on its nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief and credible security guarantees. This would require a delicate balancing act, but it's a path worth pursuing. But escalation, unfortunately, is a far more likely scenario at this point. The drums of war are beating louder. Israel may ramp up its covert sabotage operations, targeting key Iranian infrastructure and personnel. Iran, feeling increasingly cornered, may retaliate with asymmetric warfare, or, even more dangerously, accelerate its nuclear program, edging closer to the threshold of weaponization. Each move, each countermove, ratchets up the tension and increases the risk of a larger, more devastating conflict. A single miscalculation, a misinterpreted signal, could ignite the entire region, plunging it into chaos. The worst-case scenario, the one that keeps diplomats and strategists awake at night. A preemptive Israeli strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, triggering an all-out war, a regional conflagration with unpredictable consequences, unleashing a barrage of missile attacks, disrupting global energy supplies, and sending shockwaves across the international system. The world must pay close attention. This is not some distant, localized problem. Its repercussions will be felt globally. Decisions made in Jerusalem, Tehran, and Washington will profoundly shape our collective security and the stability of the global economy. The introduction of the bunker buster has raised the stakes to an unbearable level, making de-escalation all the more urgent. The clock is ticking relentlessly, each second bringing us closer to a potential catastrophe. and the world is watching with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution but bracing for the worst. Will diplomacy prevail? Will cooler heads ultimately guide the decision-making process? Or will the inexorable logic of war take over, leading us down a path of destruction and regret? The time to choose a path, to steer away from the abyss, is rapidly running out.